How are we doing this Wednesday? Enjoying the night so far? How many people followed me over from the first exam prep session that we just did? Okay, about half. So the first couple minutes, we're going to do the same thing for anyone new that wasn't in that first session. We're going to talk about the two new exams, 300 and 301, just kind of the credential as a whole, and we'll get started. So my name is Charles Pluta. I'm an escalation engineer at Microsoft. And this session specifically is an exam prep for the design portion, or the design exam, of the new Azure Architect credential. So the idea here today is that we're going to do an overview of the certification, go through the objectives for this specific exam. This is AZ-301. We just talked about 300 in the other session. Go through how to prepare, what those objectives look like, what the topics on the exam are, and then what actions you can take away to be able to go study and prepare to pass this exam. So again, this is AZ-301. We'll talk about different study material. We'll go through the objectives. The slides have some links and resources. You can download those later from the Ignite page. And the takeaways there is you can have those topics. We'll go through the idea of a question, what questions look like on the exams, so that you can go take that. So first, just an overview of the new certifications. So we've announced 4 new Azure job roles on Monday, in addition to some other job roles for Microsoft 365. So for Azure specifically, we've got Azure Administrator. So this has replaced the 7533 exam. We have Azure Developer. This replaces the 532 exam. And the Azure Solutions Architect. So that's what we're talking about, and that replaces 535. And then coming soon in the future, the next couple months, we'll have the Azure DevOps Engineer. So the idea behind these certifications is that we've broken them up into 3 different levels. First is a fundamentals level. This is just kind of the basics. What is cloud? What is IaaS? What is PaaS? What do you need to know before you even log into the portal and try to do something? At the associate level are 2 of the other roles. First is the Azure Administrator Associate, and then the Azure Developer Associate. And then at the expert level, we have the Solutions Architect, and the one in the future, the DevOps Engineer. The only thing to maybe keep in mind about the difference between associate and expert would be that for this credential specifically, Solutions Architect, there's no prereqs really. You can just go take these exams, 300, 301, get the credential. You don't have to worry about passing anything first or taking any other exams for that. For the DevOps Engineer, when that comes, you see the connected lines there. That will be after you take either the Cloud Admin or the Azure Admin and the Azure Developer exam. So either one of those would be a prerequisite before you go take DevOps. As far as transitions available, so has anyone passed 535? A few. So if you already have 535, you can transition up to this new credential by taking exam code AZ-302, the table there in the bottom right of the slide. So with 535, you can transition up. It's only 1 exam rather than 2. It's still the same topics. It's a combination of AZ-300, AZ-301, but then you only have to take the 1 exam. Has anyone passed 534 and not 535? Okay, also a number of people. So unfortunately, there's not a direct transition from 534 since that was already retired. So you've either got 2 options. You can take 535, which will be retired at the end of the year, and then transition. And all of the transition exams are only going to be available until March. Or you can just go ahead and look at the 2 new exams, start again with 300 and 301. And in either scenario, if you have 534, you have to take 2 exams, whether it be the 535 first and then transition, or just go ahead with 300 and 301. So when we talk about the new credentials, so the Azure Admin, Developer, Solution Architect, they're all based around a job role. So rather than having certifications or credentials based around individual products or trying to force a solution on a product, all of these new credentials have been based around a job role. So for the solution architect in particular, you're expected to know a lot of the technical details. So that's mainly the 300 exam. What is the virtualization? What is the networking? What kind of identity and security requirements does a solution need? But at the same time, you also have to take into other considerations for the design. What are the billing aspects? How much money are we spending by deploying the solution on a monthly basis? Is the solution that we're deploying compliant? Does it comply with our organization policies? Does it comply with any industry policies, regulations, GDPR, things like that? So those are the ideas that are taken when creating this job role, and then thus the credential that follows it. So looking at this role and the credential, the different courses that are available for preparation. So we're focusing on 301 for this exam prep and this exam. So that's the learning path on the bottom there, where we've got 4 main courses that translates to the 301 exam. And when you pass both the 300 and 301 exams, then you're assigned the Azure Solutions Architect Expert credential. So some exam basics. Is there anyone in this session that has not taken a Microsoft exam before? Brand new to exams? Okay, quite a few. So the idea when you go in and register for an exam and you take an exam, you'll get between 40 to 60 questions. Some of them are multiple choice. Some of them are what we call innovative. It might be a graphic and you have to interpret the graphic, be able to answer questions, and maybe they'll give you an ARM template or a screenshot of a bunch of settings, and then what is the result of what was deployed, or what will this deployment do or change. So not all of the questions are equal. Not everything is worth 1 point. Sometimes there are questions that have multiple drop-down boxes or multiple answer choices, and those are typically worth more than 1 point. Each answer is normally worth a point. There's never a penalty for trying to guess. So if you don't know an answer, points aren't going to be deducted for getting something wrong. And there are some special item types within the exam that are similar to case studies, so that when you pass that item, you can't go back to it. And so at least when you're making the first pass, be sure to answer all of the questions, even if you're guessing. And you can, if it's something you can go back for, you can mark it for review. Or if not, some of the items, when you click next, that's it. You can't go back to that item. Most of the exams give you 3 hours, 180 minutes. That's broken up into a few minutes to start. You sign an NDA, gives you the instructions, tells you about how to use the different item types. Then you get 2.5 hours for the exam itself. And then at the end, you get a few more minutes to answer questions, go back and review, provide comments on items. I would ask, since these are in beta, if you plan on taking either of the exams this week, please absolutely provide comments at the end of the exam. They give you about 10 or 15 minutes at the end. Please do take that. If there were any questions that weren't clear as to what that question was asking, had maybe conflicting information, just didn't make sense, provide that in a comment. And the exam team will 100% look at every comment while an item is in beta, or while an exam is in beta. And then finally, case studies. So most of these exams will have case studies where you're given a whole bunch of information, business requirements, technical requirements, existing environment on-prem, existing environment in the cloud, any applications that have already been deployed or might be deployed. And then when you get a question, it doesn't have any scenario or anything with it. You're just asked to go figure out how to deploy an app. And then you have to go back and look through the case study, find the requirement of that app, and be able to answer the question. All of the new exams will eventually have performance-based testing. Right now, the cloud administrator role or exams have this. So when you go in and take the exam, you'll be presented with an actual Azure subscription. It's not a simulation, it's not pre-recorded, it's not half working, it is a real Azure environment. You'll be given a task list from 7 to 9 tasks or so, and it'll measure based on whether those tasks were done. Doesn't matter how you do them. You can do them in the portal. You can use the Cloud Shell environment within the portal, use PowerShell, Azure CLI, doesn't matter. It's only going to grade you on if you got the task done. So if the task was go deploy a VM, the script on the back end only checks to make sure that VM was deployed. Doesn't care how you got there. From a scoring perspective, all of the exams have a passing score of 700. Doesn't mean that it's 70%. Again, some items are worth, or some questions are worth more points than others. And so that range is from 0 to 1,000, 1,000 being perfect. And so the cut score, or what that 700 really means, is determined during development and during beta based on the difficulty of the questions that wind up on the exam and the audience taking that. So again, there's no points deducted for any wrong answers. Do guess. Some questions can't be skipped, so always answer a question before you move on. So for those that haven't taken an exam before, the structure of a question is normally always fairly simple. There's no more, except for the case studies, there's no more paragraphs and paragraphs of information before you're presented a question. So first, you're given an environment or a scenario. You're a developer, you're an administrator, you're trying to do something. And then you're given some type of problem or requirement. So an application needs to be able to scale. An application needs security to block certain ports. And then a goal statement. So you need to deploy the app, you need to configure the app, you need to meet the security requirements. And then the final part is just what should you do, what should you create. All of the exam questions on both of these exams follow the same structure. So they're all meant to be straightforward, easy to read, easy to understand. So again, if something's not, please do provide those comments. So now we'll get into the actual, what we call the objective domain, or the OD for this exam, for 301. So this is broken up into 6 major buckets. They're all fairly equal. So unlike the 300 exam, for those of you that were in that prep session where we've got three more important categories than others, these are all fairly equal and fairly important based on the survey that went out. So the first bucket of information is determining workload requirements. Then we get into identity and security. We'll look at data platform, business continuity strategy for design, how we're actually designing for deploying a solution, migrating a solution, integrating that, maybe with different authentication options, and then the infrastructure behind a solution. And so each of these major buckets have individual objectives beneath them as to what the topics are. So has anyone looked at, on the website it's called Skills Measured. So has anyone looked at an exam page and looked through the list of what we call Skills Measured on the website? Okay. So I highly suggest you look through that list. This is the same list. I've pulled it from the website, but this is really what's going to help you study for passing the exam. Because when we look at this and think, okay, optimize consumption strategy, I mean, what does that mean? What are the things that we can do behind that? And so that's where you'd want to go and look at the documentation. Okay, what tools do we have? Can we use Azure Advisor to maybe help optimize? Is it going to recommend deploying a solution differently, deploying a VM differently? What tools do we have at our disposal to optimize a consumption strategy? And that's just an example. So when we think about workload requirements, One thing that comes up a lot is patterns. And so this is just a definition of a software-defined pattern from Wikipedia. But ideally, and when we think about solutions in the cloud, we want to make sure they're reusable. We want to make sure that it's not hard-coded into our solution. We want to make sure it's agile. And so from that perspective in Azure, how can we do that? That would be primarily with ARM templates and taking a DevOps approach to deploying a solution. So even if you're only planning on deploying a few VMs initially, that might always grow. So how can we make sure that we do this in a modular approach, that we can repeat it? Maybe we decide later we need redundancy, we're going to deploy the same configuration in another region. If we have ARM templates to do that, then we can make sure that we have certain patterns and that our deployments are the same. So from an Azure and a Microsoft perspective, what are the things there that allow us to do that? So we have a foundation on GitHub that allows us to have different templates. There's a variety, I think there's hundreds of different templates that you can download from GitHub to start a deployment, whether it's just VMs, whether it's an app gateway, load balancer, whatever technology you plan on designing and using for your solution. So in looking at Azure Resource Manager, again, this provides a consistent deployment. So if we need to deploy 10 VMs, 100 VMs, 1,000 VMs, they can all be configured exactly the same way. It supports grouping of resources, so we can group together the network behind that VM, whatever storage requirements that allow us to use role-based access control to be able to provide permissions and restrict actions on the objects within that resource group. It facilitates our infrastructure as code, so from a DevOps approach again, if we want to use ARM templates or use automation beyond just deployment, the actual configuration and ongoing maintenance of those VMs, we can do that. And so the objects within that are called objects within the resource manager. So these are all of the instances of individual pieces. So even down to a network card on a VM is a resource object. And so you can, again, manage permissions, manage instances, create templates, and configure or write the JSON or modify the JSON in that template to do what you want it to do and when you need it to do it. So ARM templates, again, are JSON. You can deploy that from Visual Studio. You can reference these in PowerShell, the CLI, the Azure portal. If you already have them, maybe you have your own repository in GitHub, you can deploy straight from Git or use any of the templates that are provided to you already. So that simplifies the orchestration. It allows you to have restrictions or dependencies to make sure that maybe a load balancer is deployed before you create an object behind it. We need the load balancer before we create a traffic manager profile, some other restriction like that. And then we move on to the next bucket of information. So when we talk about designing for identity and security, what are the topics that we need to be aware of from a design perspective? So we need to be able to manage identities. We need to determine how users are going to authenticate to an app or a resource or something we've deployed. We have to figure out if they're authorized, so not only are they who they say they are when they log in, but then once we've authenticated them, what do they have permission to? And then what are our risks associated with that? How can we mitigate risks? And then what is the monitoring strategy once we have all of that deployed? So of course, the basis for that from an Azure perspective is Azure AD. So that's our cloud-based directory. It's the identity management service within Azure. So this has directory services, governance, access management. It's the basis for RBAC. We can identify users and manage access to resources, resource providers, all of that within Azure AD. We can also integrate that with an on-prem AD if we need to. So we can have multi-factor authentication on-prem with mobile devices. We can federate. We can have single sign-on with pass-through authentication, and then we can synchronize passwords or have password write back as well. So some of the authentication strategies, you might want to use AD Connect if you have on-prem AD already. So this supports a wide range of different synchronization topologies. You can have multiple AD forests. You can install this on any Windows server in your Active Directory environment, connect it directly to a domain controller that you have on-prem. You can either use the SQL server that's built in, have separate SQL server to hold all of that information, and allow a two-way synchronization of any accounts that you create on-prem or any accounts that you create that are cloud accounts, and then be able to use those on-prem as well. There's also a couple other options. There's the B2B and B2C options. So if you want to federate to another organization or a partner, you can use B2B connectivity there to allow partners to access the resources and the applications that you have in Azure. And so then you can use local Azure AD groups, support those, the credentials and the user accounts that are in that other organization, and then manage, everything is managed by them, but you're allowing them to access your resources. There's also the B2C connectivity, so that's giving you the ability to allow consumer user accounts, so things like Facebook, Google, Twitter, you can allow those authenticated resources to then maybe access an application or a resource that you have, that you've deployed within Azure. There's also a managed AD domain service within Azure. So you can have domain join, group policies, the same Kerberos and TLM that you would have on-prem within Azure. So that's just essentially two domain controllers in an Azure subscription. It uses the Azure AD tenant that's associated with that subscription, and eliminates any requirements for any type of hybrid connectivity. You know, it's in essence its own AD forest at that point running within Azure. The third bucket of information on the exam was data platform solutions. So this revolves around data management, data protection, designing and document how data can flow in and out of an application or a resource within Azure, and then again, the monitoring strategy. So when you're thinking about studying for the exam and what you need to prepare for, these are the ideas that you would want to think of for a good 15 to 20% of the exam. So some more examples of that would be the storage perspective. There's blob storage. So you can have files, blobs, and disks, different interfaces, different suggested uses depending on the application. So again, this is a design exam. So you may get a case study, you may get a scenario. Well, we need to have streaming and random access for an application. The app has a lot of random reads. What's the best storage type to use for that application? And so then in that case, you might use blob storage as the answer. Another storage component to be aware of is Azure Files. So this is SMB file shares, SMB 3.0. You can have an Azure storage account associated with that. You can have an unlimited number of shares. So these are just regular SMB shares as you would have on-prem. You can support files up to 1 terabyte. And so that simplifies migrating a lot of on-prem applications that might have some other requirement to access just a UNC path or require a file share as part of that application. There's also Azure File Sync. So if you need a method of migrating that on-prem file share to the cloud, you can use the storage file sync service, and that service will synchronize the files that you specify, provide centralized storage, and then move that data up to Azure. If you need an on-prem storage array for that storage, you can use Store Simple. So this is still Azure-based, but it provides a storage array locally on-prem for you, and then replicates that data to an Azure storage account. Has different management tools that are web-based. It centralizes all of that. You can still use PowerShell if you want, or use there's a Store Simple MMC snap-in as well. So some of the benefits of doing that is that it integrates really easily with Azure as well as on-prem. You know, it's just another storage device. It reduces some of your storage costs. You can choose, you know, how you want to replicate that, if it's just going to be maybe archive storage in Azure. It simplifies your storage management. It puts everything in one place for you. And then, of course, improves disaster recovery by replicating the storage that you do have on-prem up to Azure. Store Simple also supports data tiering, so that hot and warm data can be stored locally on that device. So it's kind of like caching that data locally on-prem. And then any cold data that you haven't accessed for a while that's just sitting there using your local storage, you can then move that up to Azure so that you're not using your storage space, and it'll be cheaper overall for your solution. So the usage of that data is constantly evaluated, constantly monitored. And then when we do decide to move the data, that it's not being used that much anymore, before we do that, it's deduplicated, compressed, and encrypted so that it's encrypted in transit. And then when it gets to Azure, it's also encrypted at rest. So then the next section is designing a business continuity strategy. So here we have to talk about or think about how our design is going to be, how it's going to be highly available, if we have any site recovery aspects to be familiar with, what our recovery strategy is maybe for individual workloads, and then if we have any data archiving requirements or any other compliance requirements for keeping data for an extended period of time. So the first thing to think of from an Azure perspective to help with that is Azure Backup. So just being able to protect that data, whether it's on-prem or whether it's already in Azure. So you can integrate that very easily with Azure Site Recovery, and then have different tools to perform recovery options, test the backups, do a restore, whether it be on-prem or in Azure. So some of the different backup options. For a backup and a restore for on-prem, this would be file shares, system state. It might require an agent if you want system state, so that would be for Windows. Backup jobs within the OS, and then files and folders within either an on-prem server or within VMs. If we want to be able to back up different workloads, we can do that for the operating system, the system state. It does require a deployment of the Azure Backup Server, but then we can deploy agents to different computers that are going to be backed up and include that in the service. And then finally, the backup and the restore. So this is intended for a full VM backup. If we want to back up the entire VM, it does require an extension to be part of the VM, and then those backup jobs are run on the Azure platform for the VM. There are other options for end-to-end encryption. You can monitor all of this with log analytics. So if you want to install the agent and require a different passphrase, you know, any time that data is sent in transit or transferred across the network, it uses TLS to encrypt that data, and then you can look at all of the statistics and the amount of storage in the vault using log analytics. You can also create app-consistent backups for VMs, regardless of whether they're running Linux or Windows. But by default, Linux VMs are crash consistent. So there's extra configuration there. You should be aware of that process. It's probably an easy exam question to identify how you might need to configure that to make it app consistent. Finally, for this topic, there's site recovery. So this is disaster recovery for our on-prem environment. So if we're running Hyper-V on-prem, or even VMware or physical servers, we have a way to migrate those from on-prem to Azure. So there's almost no downtime. Of course, it depends on the application. You can have application consistent failover between the on-prem environment and Azure, as well as have the ability to fail over to Azure and then fail back to on-prem if necessary. There's also a lift and shift migration tool if you're just looking to get rid of the physical servers in the on-prem environment. You can do a full system state replication, machine replication from the on-prem environment to Azure. So this is a good scenario for dev and test environments. There's no data loss, there's nothing to worry about. It's a complete migration from the on-prem VM to an Azure VM. So then one of the smaller buckets on the exam talks about deployment and migration. So here we have to think about different deployment methods. How are we going to migrate? What are different integration strategies we have with APIs? So again, the lift and shift is the most common approach. This is the one that I've worked on the most. So you can just take the pay-as-you-go pricing, or if you have an EA or other type of agreement with Microsoft, you can use Azure Migrate, and that'll give you a delivery and assessment tool so that you can see the workload that you have on-prem and identify that to be able to translate that to an Azure VM or an Azure resource that would match that workload, and then optimize the cost for you, provide cost estimates, and how suitable is that migration. However, that is for VMware only at the moment. There's also another migration method. So is anyone here still using classic VMs or classic portal in Azure? Couple. So there's a few scripts that are available that you can run to be able to migrate that from classic to an ARM-based model. You know, it's fairly easy, fairly painless. You can migrate the virtual machines, the storage accounts, the virtual networks, and then take advantage of not only the different costing models that are available in Resource Manager, but all of the new security or the different security options. Then you can use RBAC. So you might want to consider migrating from the classic IaaS. How about the classic cloud services? Is anyone using cloud services instead of app services? All right. So unfortunately, there's no direct migration path from a cloud service in the classic portal. So these are, again, the new role for that is app services. So this is where you can have web roles and worker roles. And so the recommended migration path is to go with Service Fabric and convert those roles into microservices if you encounter that. So then the next thing to look at is an infrastructure strategy for the infrastructure behind whatever app or resource you're deploying. So this could be storage, compute, networking, and then the monitoring aspects for those resources once we have them deployed. So from a storage perspective, there's 4 primary types of storage. We've got blob, tables, queues, and files. And to be able to use any of those, of course, you have to have a storage account. So this is the logical grouping that can be configured as a general purpose V1, V2, or as blob storage. And so blob disks are available as block blobs, page blobs for VHDs, or append blobs. Tables are a non-structured SQL service. Queues are for messaging, and then files are just that, for file storage. We also have to worry about, from a design perspective, the storage account security. So by default, there are 2 storage account keys that provide unlimited access to that storage account. You can regenerate them on demand if you want to. And you can change those values without affecting the access to storage as you need. Another way to do that is to use shared access signatures or SAS policies. So this allows you to have additional control over that storage account or the components within that storage account by creating a SAS token, and then you can use that token or when you're creating it, you can specify different restrictions, whether it be time-based, whether it be permission-based. And so rather than specifying the restrictions on the resources specifically, they then have that token, and you can grant that either to a user, to an application, however you want to use that token. And so from a design and an exam perspective, one thing to maybe keep in mind is that there are a limit of 5 different policies on any type of container, table, queue, files. You can only create up to 5 policies. Another storage component to be aware of are the disks underlying within that storage account. So there's managed versus unmanaged disks. Does anyone use managed disks currently? Okay. So if you're not using managed disks, I would highly recommend that you look into that for your own environment, just because there's additional provisioning capabilities. You don't have to create and manage different storage accounts. You can convert between standard and premium. There's a lot of benefits for using managed storage accounts. And so then from an exam perspective, if we're thinking about questions, we might be presented with a scenario that we need to be able to use RBAC, or we need to be able to use some other feature that is specific to managed disks. And the questions ask, how should we design the solution? And then the answers might be managed versus unmanaged, or creating a storage account yourself. The next topic is event hubs. So how can we store some of the information that we're getting? How can we use that data? So event hubs gives you a platform to be able to take all of these events, process them, create actions, do different things depending on what the event came in with. You can authenticate people with those SaaS tokens that we just talked about, so that only certain applications or components can create an event. And so this is your front line for any event pipeline. So whatever role, whatever alert, the method that you want, or the action that you want after an event occurs, you can start that in an event hub. And then finally, there's also IoT hubs. So this is bi-directional, either device to cloud if you have IoT devices, or cloud to device if you need to send a message back to a device. It controls the message flow, or you can configure those routing rules to determine the flow for IoT or that communication. You also have a lot of different security aspects of that, as well as gateway support for both the field gateway, how that's communicating in, and the protocol gateway, what the protocol is that IoT device might be using. So that, in a nutshell, is the topics that are on the design exam. So when we're thinking about questions and how to prepare for that, and what do we need to look for and be aware of before we go take this exam? So has anyone been to the new Microsoft.com/learn page? Okay, about half. So the Learn page has a bunch of step-by-step tutorials, self-paced videos. There's different options there. There's hands-on learning, knowledge assessments, practice assessments, different things that you can use in a self-paced environment to be able to help you pass this exam. And that would be my first stop in looking for that, because all of these buckets have training courses and training available that directly relate to each of those topics or objectives. There's also online courses. There will be courses on things like edX, LinkedIn Learning, Pluralsight. Those courses give you self-paced videos and content, as well as the ability to use hands-on labs either in a managed subscription or in your own Azure subscription. And then again, the knowledge assessments from places like MeasureUp and other things. And then finally, there's instructor-led training, where you can go through and either bundle or customize a course with any of those topics, and have a 3-5 day course, deep dive, however you want it. You can talk to a learning partner about creating a class that allows you to either pass this exam, maybe you combine them together. You can take topics from the 300 exam and the 301 exam, and do a 1-week cram session if you wanted to with a learning partner. Other resources. So again, I asked earlier if anyone had been to the exam page. If you have not, I really recommend that you go and look at the specific exam page. There's a section about halfway down that's called Skills Measured. It's the full list. It's got even more detail as to the topics that are covered on the exam. So you can use this as resource number 1 for any type of studying that you need to do. You know, if you're already comfortable and familiar with storage and compute, and you want to spend more time on IoT and event hubs, you know, that will give you the list of everything that might be covered on the exam, or that is covered on the exam, and give you the reference point for you as to what topics you need to spend more time on. You can also join different study groups. Those are available on the same website. Practice tests externally will be available soon. You can actually go to the immersion zone next to the expo floor this week at Ignite and take practice tests for any of the new Azure exams. They're not available downstairs. Okay. And then the documentation. So all exam items, when they're written, have to have some type of authoritative resource, and that's typically documentation. I really suggest if it's not a feature you're familiar with, at least go through and read the doc. You read the first paragraph, be familiar with how that technology works before you go and sit the exam. That'll be a good reference to at least make you comfortable and be aware of what a technology is before you go in and sit down and then get a question on containers or logic apps or something maybe you haven't used yet. So just some other suggestions. You know, while you're preparing for an exam, I really suggest that you go and just do something. So all of the exam questions on all of the exams are typically action-based. So if we think of the exam structure or the question structure, you know, it's what should you do? What should you create? What should you recommend? So you should be able to understand the technology, and it doesn't matter how you got to that point. Whether it's through the portal, through PowerShell, through the CLI, I would recommend you use each of those methods. Not only would it help you study for that specific technology or that feature, but then if or when you get a performance-based item and it asks you to go deploy an app service, you would be able to design that app service and do that in whichever way you're most comfortable with, whether it's through the portal or through one of the command options. And then again, if it's not a feature that's easy to deploy, if it's not something you're comfortable with doing, at least go read about it, right? Do the documentation, sit through some of the LinkedIn Learning videos, Pluralsight videos, to be able to make yourself comfortable with that before you go into the exam. So again, we're supposed to have free practice tests. We've also got the hands-on lab area. So the lab area downstairs by the expo floor, if there's a technology you want to get familiar with, there's hundreds of labs that you can go and take at your own pace anytime during the week. If you take the exam this week, there are also, all exams are 50% off at Ignite, so the certification booth is outside of Hall D. So you can either go see other MCTs there, or visit them at the expert bar, the Learn booth on the expo floor, or get more information on the website. There's also a list of other exam preps that are available. So if you're interested in the 100 or the 200 exams or any of the Microsoft 365 exams, there are different exam preps that you can either attend or watch the recording of afterwards. So I suggest if you're interested in that, to do that. And then we have time for Q&A. So we've got 3 mics set up in this room. You know, if you'd like to come down and ask a question, feel free. Be happy to help anyone that has any questions on this exam or the certification path or learning path. Yeah.
Where's the
So the testing center here is outside of Hall D, so it's down the hallway around 325-ish, or 225. It's on level 2, around room 225 in the hallway.
But you mentioned we can take test exams first?
So there are practice exams in the hands-on lab, I guess, for certain exams only.
Here as well?
Yeah, those are down in the immersion zone by the expo floor.
Thank you.
Sure.
Firstly, thank you. Secondly, I would like to know this as a heads up, not a question, to you and the team. The certification booking site is not working. I've tried since yesterday. So as you try to schedule an exam here in the Ignite Center, the site keeps reloading and you're in a circle.
It's a problem with the event Wi-Fi. If you connect to any other hotspot, there's also some Surface devices available by the booth, in Hall D or outside of Hall D that you can use. You have to be on another Wi-Fi other than the conference Wi-Fi.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Other questions?
Just wait for 301 and 302 instead of taking the 535 today?
I mean, it really just depends on your scenario. Both options are completely valid. If you've already been studying for 535, like if you've invested a lot of time in that, you've bought resources, books, any subscriptions, you might be better prepared for that exam. And it's not like that credential goes away or becomes invalid. They're just retiring the exam. You would still be Azure certified. It's just the previous version of the exam. And then that would give you the ability to use the transition exam until March. So it's personal preference. If you're starting new and you haven't invested any time or money into studying for 535, then just start with the new ones, right? If you're more comfortable with 535, you've already put time into that, you might have, it could be a personal preference that maybe you feel like you've got a better chance to pass that than taking a new test blind. So that's personal preference. Any other questions? I guess if you don't want to do it on the mic, we've got some extra time. I'm happy to stay and answer any questions that anyone has. Please do to make sure to fill out the evaluations on the MS Events app, the link there on the slide or through the website on the registration page. Thanks, everyone.